Definitely had better sleeps than last night. Back in camp. Here's my tent. I got that thing up there for shade for that intense sun the past while. Before I come back in the afternoons and have a couple hour nap. Now, this is the timber down here. There's one incredible sound coming out of here last night. Little much. Little much. Anyway, I'm gonna go back in the woods for a few hours. Not here. I go around this big patch of forest, another spot, but I'm gonna go back out for a couple hours. Saw a pretty big bull last night, the last light, so I can go have a quick look for him and come back and see how it goes. I'll probably change my camp location. If that shit's going down, there's no sleeping. There's gonna be no sleeping here. It's just not. And I'll talk about this in more detail later on today. What a bizarre experience. Back in the woods. I don't know, I'm probably 6 miles away from camp, I guess. So I just went, I don't know, a handful of miles away last night to an oil lease area, and then stopped my truck. It's funny when you think about when you experience stuff that a lot of people, well, who knows how many people out there, a lot of people just don't want to acknowledge, just don't want to hear about it, and their automatic reaction is just going to be to absolutely try to humiliate people and shame them or make fun of them. And if you go by, who was it that did the recent poll? I forget who it was. Peterson, maybe? Anyway, and they did a poll of what people are most scared of in life. And the number one choice was public humiliation. And you can see that all over our society, right? People are scared of ridicule. People are scared of going against what the majority goes with. I'm not scared, obviously. I mean, let's face it. I couldn't do much more publicly to, if I wanted to, possibly discredit my character in a way or make a complete fool out of myself, especially doing what I've done for a living, is to come forward with this topic and more and stick to it and speak truth, my truth and other people's truth, no matter what. But, you know, especially after last night, in a way this morning, like I woke up this morning at about, I don't know, I think I got about 3 hours sleep maybe. I woke up this morning at about 6:30 or something. And then you think about last night and think about, I posted about it online right away. Well, I was absolutely still freaked out. But what we're doing right here in this place, this isn't, to me, it's not the internet. You know, the internet. Oh yeah, people on the internet. I do realize that I'm talking to the world here, and I'm talking to hundreds of thousands of people around the world right here. It's a comforting place, obviously. It's one place where you can just come here right away and say, hey everybody, guess what just happened? It's a safe place. And of course, there's going to be a whole bunch of people pop around the planet who might get, see the title of a poster, the video flavor or something, and want to react with absolute anger and try to shame somebody, accuse them of coming up, conjuring up shit for attention. But I'll tell you what, if I want attention, all I'd have to do is stick to hunting and videotape all of my hunts in the game I see. I would create a lot of positive attention, right? Or do something else, right? There's other ways to get attention on the internet than this shit. You'd have to be one loopy son of a bitch to have some kind of weird need for attention or something and go about it this way. It would be probably the wrong thing to do, right? There's a bunch of other ways I'm sure you could get the attention that you needed if that's what your brain needed. I don't give a flying shit. Everybody knows I'm an open book. If it happens, I share it. If it's told to me, I share it, unless otherwise somebody doesn't want me to share it. But what I'm getting at is this morning when you wake up, and it's almost like it didn't happen, you know what I mean? It's just you get enough sleep, but and you realize what could possibly be seen as the insanity of even sharing immediately what happened on the internet. What else do you do? And I can fully understand why so many people don't want to talk about it. I fully get it. I fully understand why people do not want to come forward or don't want to share their name. I get it. I get it. I mean, face it. If you weren't familiar with this topic or on me, you came across somebody who made a post like I did last night, you'd probably think, what's up with this for a loop, right? Whatever. I hope I am making an example for all the possibly thousands of people out there who have had the similar experiences and more and are scared to come forward and talk about it publicly. I'm here for you, man. I'm here and I will keep sharing. But anyways, back to last night. So I was thinking about it this morning. How could I duplicate that sound? And you know, what came to mind this morning was, you know, in the old medieval movies where it shows them having a big stand with a log on a swinging ropes, and they boom, boom, slam it into the castle gates. That's what that impact sounded like to me. And I took a screenshot of that massive piece of timber where it came from. There's nobody working in there. There's no backhoes in there swinging their boom into the side of a tree. It is what it is. So, you know, the knife incident, I've read a handful of comments. You know, there's overwhelming, it's always positive here. Of course, you're going to get the odd peanut head that just doesn't want that to be any kind of truth. And obviously your friend picked up the knife when you said you lost it and he stuck it in your pack. That would be great. I would love it if that was the truth. But guess what? We didn't stop driving when I went by where I lost the knife in November. First off, we didn't stop there in my truck. Not that I need to argue with anybody about what happened. It happened. I can't change it. It happened. There's no changing the story in any way, shape, or form. That happened. And that has really been somewhat bothering me. Not bothering me to make me scared, bothering me more just to kind of make you go, what the effing hell? What the frickin' hell? Right? Then what? My buddy, he had to leave back home. I forget what he said it is, 12-hour, 13-hour drive, 14, whatever it is, for him to get home. And then first night, I'm not going to bed scared shitless. I'm not going to bed thinking something's going to attack me. I'm not going to go into bed thinking the boogeyman's outside. I never have. I can back that up. Look at all my videos on the hunting and the outdoors that I've shared. Look at where I go alone. I'm not scared. I know there's crazy shit going on out here. I accept it. I've been faced with it. I've seen it. I've heard it. There's nothing I can do to change that. And I would be an absolute weak pussy if I tried to deny it and not stand behind the honesty of what's going on out here. I'd be a pussy, or just scared of my own shadow, which I'm not. And speaking of the scaredness, like I'll admit it. I don't give a shit. I'll admit it. I was panting like a dog when I phoned Sarah. Panting like a dog. When I was grabbing what I needed, I wasn't rushing and scrambling like a bomb was about to hit the house. I was just specific in my moves. Felt the anxiousness to get moving and leave. I've had it happen before. I've left before. When I heard those 2 trees getting blasted on when I was trapping wolves out a handful of years ago, I just looked at the ground, calmly, specifically put my stuff back in my backpack, zipped it up, put it on, grabbed my rifle, looked at the ground, and snowshoed back to my snowmobile. Spun that thing around, stressed right out when I was turning it around. It wasn't going to get stuck in that soft snow. Pinned it. Didn't look back. And the first time I went back to that patch of forest is when I took you guys to the stand, because that happened about, as a crow flies, maybe 80 yards away from where I built that stand. And that stand was torn down, right? So whatever. It is what it is. Seeing the damn things. I know the shit's going on. Mosquitoes are biting me through the mesh of my hat. And it is what it is. I don't look for attention from odd things. I don't look for the signs of the boogeyman. I don't intentionally freak myself out, but I do make sure that all the people in the world who didn't ask for this get to speak the truth here and be safe. And that's what I do. I don't go looking for attention intentionally. I make sure I live my life and do what I do, and hope. I pray to God that it's not going to get ruined for me. I don't want it ruined for me. You guys have heard all the people writing in. How many people it's ruined? They can't do it anymore. They can't let their kids play in the yard anymore without watching them like a hawk. They feel like the worst parent in the world. They can't go camping. They can't go for a walk in the woods. Lots of people have moved to the city, sold all their outdoor stuff, won't go near a patch of trees again. I don't want that to happen to me. I understand that it's a strong possibility of that happening to me. So when I went to bed last night, I noted when I got into camp last night, it was just seemed a little quiet, seemed a little off. It made me pause and look around in the darkness, and look up at the sky, like, something's different. And it was just a mild thought, something's different, whatever. And I always stay aware of my surroundings, no matter what. You just do. It's just what you do. It's your go. You just naturally observe behind you, around you, and take care of yourself, right? And I went to bed. I had a podcast playing, and I thought I had heard something. 3 distinct somethings while the podcast playing, and my ears ring like a son of a bitch all the time, right? So sometimes I get a little confused. What did I hear? And I shut that podcast off, but I was certain I heard 3 loud noises from in the forest behind my tent. Whatever. The first night here, we heard sticks popping in the timber. No big deal. There's tons of game around. Didn't feel alarmed at all. And then that huge tree fell down forever, probably about 150 yards away. No wind, big deal. Trees fall over. I'm sitting on a felled tree right here. There's trees down behind me all over the place. They fall over. No biggie. Didn't feel scared, but you take note. You listen. You're always listening. You can't stop yourself from listening. But then last night, those 3 sounds, I heard the 3 loud sounds, had the podcast going, and then I had my ears ringing like a son of a bitch the whole time anyway, so all that combined made me think, oh well, maybe now, whatever, go to sleep. Then I turned my podcast off and plugged my phone into my charger, and then tucked myself right in my sleeping bag to go to sleep. Deathly tired. Deathly, whatever, extremely tired. And then I heard it crystal clear. Boom. 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 That spread apart, not a baseball bat crack like is commonly described, but I mean we are talking a log. The closest thing I could imagine would be like in those medieval movies where they're swinging that log. Boom! Boom! Into the castle gates. How far away from me? I don't know. 100 yards? I don't know. I haven't a freaking clue. I've never heard a sound like that in my life. Not like that. So, and then you think, what's next? Why is this happening? Why me? Why? You know, you're just like, come on, really? Just freaking leave me alone. And then I challenge any human being. I don't care how tough you think you are. I'll challenge anybody. Go lay on the ground in a tent beside the big timber by yourself, a 2-day drive from home in northern BC, and then think, oh, big deal. It's just something really weird and very powerful. I'm just going to go to sleep anyway. And then fall asleep. Good luck. Right? There is no way I was going to sleep that night, last night in that tent. There's no fucking way. There's no way. But anyway, there you go. That's what happened. If I want to make something up, imagine if especially after hearing all the emails, imagine if I wanted to make shit up, the shit I could come up with. It's not in my makeup. It's not how I roll. I don't need this attention. I don't need attention online. I don't even try to promote this channel. I don't give a shit if you subscribe or not, or come here or not. I just need the people who know, the people who experience this shit and want to have answers. I want every single one of them in the world to hear. So we can talk about this shit together, figure it out, and learn and pass that knowledge on to people we care about. That's it. And in the meantime, there's going to be, obviously, there's going to be people coming here from around the world, and they're going to try to drop humiliation bombs, bring a carpet bomb the place with humiliation bombs. It doesn't change a thing. It doesn't do a thing to me. And hopefully it doesn't do anything to all of you who are here for the same reasons I am. But I found as I was, it takes me 45 minutes to quad in to where I am currently. And then once I get into here, I hike and I hunt this timber. Another patches of timber. There's no open land here. There's a couple right-of-ways for pipelines, but the game's already been educated. They don't go out in the open until dark, so you got to go in after. But I'm not leaving without my elk. We don't have any meat at home. I don't buy meat. I probably fed 14 people last year. I don't have any meat. I'm not leaving without my elk. So, and I don't want this ruined. And as I was quadding down the quad trail, and I'll show you here how tight it is. So you imagine what it's like, because I have to quad in the dark to get to where I want to hunt. And then I stay in the evenings. I'll stay till it's dark, and then I got to quad out in the dark. It's not the most cheerful trail in the dark to quad out on. Maybe I'll record it tonight on the way out, or tomorrow morning, and share with you guys later on. But I found the emotions I felt this morning. I got back to camp. It's like it didn't even happen. Then made up a coffee, packed some shit, and came back out into the woods right away. Get back on that horse, right? But I found that the emotion I was having this morning going back in the woods was anger. I was angry. I found myself getting angry, like, F you. It's like the feeling that you would get. I don't know, everybody reacts differently. I react with anger and aggression. I don't have it in me to run. Run. You know what I mean? Like, I got it. I definitely ran last night in a way, but I mean, God, I've crawled after wounded grizzly bears into thick willow. I've shot animals that wanted to shred my face off at close range. Cool Hand Luke never. I react. I already know I react in a good, intentional, collected, calm, intentional way when the shit has flown. Where I've seen, including one of my old best friends, they turn running, screaming. It is what it is. Everybody reacts differently, but I tend to get in the face of a threat. I get angry and I want to fight. It's the easiest way I can describe it. And I was angry this morning. I almost felt like screaming out, "Fuck you, coward-ass piece of shit." Using the darkness of night and the cover of the trees to intimidate somebody. For what? You know, like, F you. Leave me alone. Quit being a prick. That's what was going through my mind this morning as I'm on my quad. I'm just getting angry. I'm trying to relay how my brain's working. I'm like, it's pissed off. Pissed off that somebody may possibly be on the verge of taking all this away from me. That makes me really angry. I don't want to lose all this. I don't want to join the hundreds of people, thousands of people that can't do this anymore. I don't want to be one of them. I don't want to be, I shouldn't say one of them. I don't want to be in that position. So that's why possibly I was angry this morning. So anyways, there you go. There's not much more I can say on what happened. I shared it. I shared it while afterwards. You know, what was it, 11 o'clock at night or something? It's not like you can phone somebody. I phoned Sarah, but she needs to go to bed. And then you're just sitting there with adrenaline overdrive, the goosebumps. I didn't think you could get goosebumps that intense. Holy shit. You describe your hair turning and the wire is going to snap off. It was like not goose bumps. It was like goose mountains with wire for hair on top of those. It was so frickin' alarming. So bizarre. Such a wild, crazy thing to experience. Did I need to lay on the ground through that? Why lay on the ground, clenching your sheets, terrified, staring at the ceiling, trying to listen for any footstep or breathing outside, hoping to God something's not going to let out the most terrifying scream you could ever imagine, like's happened to thousands of other people, right? Vibrates your frickin' rib cage, shakes the ground you're standing on. Sounds absolutely unbelievable and so hard to wrap your being around. But you can't deny the testimony of thousands of first-hand eyewitnesses, right? Unless you're a complete, scared, shitless dumbass. So there you go. What's going to happen tonight? I don't know. Where am I going to camp? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to camp right there. As you know, the patterns have shown from all of you sharing, the patterns have shown how it ramps up each night, right? So, taking note of the patterns of what happens when shit like this starts going down in your camp. You can either stay and stick it out. Maybe you're into it, maybe you're not. I'm not into it, so I'm going to move camp. Is that going to make a difference tonight? I don't know. Hope so, because I wouldn't mind sleeping. I wouldn't mind getting this hunt completed, successful, and go home. I got some friends that are hunting that cabin, that remote cabin that I filmed from last year. My friends are there right now, elk hunting. They invited me to come down there. Told them what happened. My buddy Shane, remember, he found the 3-toed print in British Columbia. And they also smelled the smell and felt the absolute terror. He hasn't seen one of these things, and he's a lifelong mega hunter / ex-hunting guide. And he's got lots of people laughed at him for sitting and making a video with me. Doesn't change what he saw, doesn't change what he smelled and felt. He still talks about it. He bravely sat there publicly on video with me. But anyways, he's right away. I was talking on the phone this morning, and he's like, well, you coming down here to hunt with us or what? I mean, it's an option, but I have to get my elk. And they're not having that good luck. None of the elk are bugling anywhere, so that's a tall order, 3 bulls down there. So I'm going to stick it out here and make sure I make this happen. And I'm not leaving without my elk, so there you go. I'm babbling a little bit. I've had 3 hours sleep. Whew. So there you go. I'm not going to let this ruin it for me. Anyway, while I'm sitting here, I'm going to share. I got so many emails piled in. I saved a bunch to my notes, and I'm going to share a couple right now. And then I'm going to go try to have an afternoon sleep, and then I'm going to pack up my camp, move it, and then I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going into that darkness for half an hour travel, and I'm going hunting. I'm going to get this done. So, give me a minute. Alright. What do we got? What do we got? I hope the wind's not too much background noise for you guys. It sounds like a little static, but... Who do we got? Listen to this. This is in the recent inbox, so the ones I'm going to share right now are recent, alright? This is titled, Testimony of a Winnipeg Police Officer. Hello, Mr. Isdahl. I recently learned of you and your channel from a Nino Rodriguez interview I watched a few weeks back. Since then, I've had your videos playing on my commute to and from work and during my downtime. Your channel has really proven to be a gold mine of stories and knowledge from like-minded people. Thank you for all your hard work in creating and hosting this community. It's too easy, man. Thanks for writing in. I would appreciate if you did not mention my name, as I'm a 13-year LEO with the Winnipeg Police Service. I do not bow down and submit to the mandatory needle policy implemented by my police service, and therefore was subsequently placed on, quote, non-dispensary indefinite unpaid leave, end quote, and walked off the job. Right on, brother. Right on. I love hearing that. I don't love hearing what happened, but I love hearing of men and women standing up. I was later welcomed back to work once all the dust had settled and the CVID narrative began to fall apart. I feel that speaking about this topic may give them a reason to question my mental health and deem me not, quote, fit for duty, end quote, and therefore possibly place my career once again in jeopardy. I've since been targeted by some of my supervisors for not submitting to their orders at the time, which were in breach of my God-given and charter rights. Kick them in the nuts. Having said all of that, I would like to share my own personal experience with Sasquatch back in 1997. I grew up in Winnipeg, however, spent a lot of time summer/winter camping, hiking, and exploring much of Manitoba and northwest Ontario. Once I graduated high school, I moved out of my parents' home and moved to Banff, Alberta to ski and mountain bike. I was 18 years old at the time and living on my own in Banff. While there, I continued doing self-contained backpacking trips, and in August of '97, I, along with two friends, Lars and Jason, planned a 7-day adventure out into the mountains. Jason was a virgin to the woods, growing up in Toronto. Hold on. Oh my God, shit's in my eye. He had never set foot in the forest before. Lars grew up in Banff. We were driven 20 kilometers west of Banff to Sunshine Village Ski Resort by Lars' father, and the plan was to hike approximately 30 kilometers farther into the Canadian Rockies, crossing over into BC, and then reach our final destination of Lake Magog at the base of Mount Assiniboine, right in the heart of it. The first day of hiking was awesome and nothing but fun times had by all. Jason was having his mind blown being out in the wild. We were excited to show him a few things about camping, as he had never even seen as much as started a campfire before. That must have been kind of crazy. The only risk I have with those people is when they want to quit, and that sucks. The first night came and went without incident, but the second day, we had the sense that something was watching and following us, even though we did not see or hear anything. Our second night was at a place called Porcupine Creek. We got to the area late and the sun was almost down already. Lars decided to stay with Jason and set up camp while I walked approximately 100 yards further into the woods to tie our food supply up in a tree away from our camp. I left my headlamp with Jason, and as he had not packed a flashlight, I left my headlamp with Jason as he had not packed a flashlight. After getting our food secured, I decided to take a piss before heading back to the guys and the fire. By now, I could just barely make out the glow of the fire in the distance and was needing to strain my eyes to see anything in the woods as dusk was turning into night. I began to hear their voices back at camp getting louder and louder until they began screaming my name over and over again, telling me to run. At this time, I'm thinking they're just trying to get a rise out of me, but I could tell by the fear in their voices that they weren't playing. Now I started to freak out. Without even finishing my business, I began to run back to camp while trying to zip up. I was running, pissing, and tripping over logs and fighting to get my fly up, LOL. Once back at camp, I yelled, "You guys better not be effing with me." They told me to be quiet and listen. We all got quiet, and you could clearly hear large bipedal footsteps slowly circling our camp and branches breaking. We stayed silent for some time and just stoked up the fire. The large, heavy footsteps continued. We thought bear or moose because none of us wanted to say the B word, Bigfoot. We changed up our tactics and thought, okay, if we get really loud, then maybe whatever it was would get scared off. That didn't work. It just stayed out of the glow of the fire, maybe 20 feet away. Whatever it was, just wouldn't leave. This was so taxing in our minds that we broke down and began grabbing logs from the fire and throwing them in the direction of the sound. Stupid move, I know, but we were 18 years old with no firearms except a couple hunting knives and no one around for miles to help. Also, cell phones were not even a thing back in the 90s. The footsteps would stop and then pick up again. It was not deterred by the fire at all. We were mentally and physically exhausted from the day hiking that after about 3 hours of this, we ended up crawling into the tent and falling asleep, leaving our fate in its hands. The next morning, feeling bold, and with the sun now shining, we decided to split up and see if we could see anything from the night before. We had enough to go more than 20 feet or so before we noticed a worn trail circling our camp and fresh tree branches approximately 6 inches in diameter, 10 feet up the tree, snapped and left hanging. This was not observed the day before. We all decided to keep going deeper into the mountains to reach our final destination, Lake Magog, M-A-G-O-G. We hiked all day and reached Mount Assiniboine. We set up camp right on the shore of the lake with beautiful views of the mountain towering up right in front of us and the glacier running down it. This area opened up from the thick and heavily forested area we had come from. The tree line back into the mountains was approximately 300 yards away in every direction. The rest of the day went without incident as we took in the views, had a good meal, and spent the evening shooting the shit around the fire, laughing off how scared we were the night before compared to how relaxed we were this evening. No doubt. We called it a night and headed back to bed. At approximately 3 a.m., I slowly woke up out of a deep sleep with an overwhelming feeling that someone or something was standing over me. I did not hear anything, see anything, or smell anything, but a sense of fear came over me like nothing else I've ever experienced before or since. And I've worked 13 years in the murder capital of Canada with many oh shit moments under my belt. It was so quiet. There were no sounds at all. It was so quiet, in fact, all I could hear of a high-pitched "ee" sound of silence. I was feeling so fearful that I was sweating profusely. You could have wrung my sleeping bag out like a sponge. I told myself I was just freaking myself out and thought I just needed to go back to sleep. So I rolled over my sleeping bag, but as soon as I did, there was a shuffle in the shale right next to my head, inches away. Then, boom, 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 boom. And a crash into the tree line like a freight train derailing. I could hear it crashing through the woods and going up the mountain until it was far in the distance. It was so large, it was shaking the ground as it ran. It was definitely running on 2 feet, like if you could close your eyes and listen to someone sprinting down a gravel road, but huge, and not like a horse's gallop. I woke the guys and asked if they heard that, and they said no, and went back to sleep. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. In the morning, I had to look around, but strangely didn't observe anything obvious as far as footprints, and wasn't venturing off into the tree line in the opposite direction of where we needed to go to get out of there. We spent 2 more nights in the mountains heading to where our pickup point was located. However, never had anything else happen of note besides the feeling of watchful eyes on us. Once back in town, we never spoke of this again, and I have since lost touch with Lars and Jason. I later moved to Esquimalt on Vancouver Island with the job I had at the time and continued camping in the woods. That's where I grew up. I graduated at Esquimalt High School. I later moved to Esquimalt on Vancouver Island with the job I had at the time and continued camping in the woods, even hiking the West Coast Trail with my brother. Actually, while we were being ferried over Port San Juan to the West Coast Trailhead, I asked the captain, a Pechedat First Nations elder. Pechina is how Pechina's a community near Souk. You probably know that one. No, Pechina, sorry, Banfield. First Nations elder, because the West Coast Trail starts at Pechina Beach. I asked, sorry, you guys, Pechina First Nations elder, if he had ever seen a Sasquatch. He looked at me and ignored my question, not saying anything, but gave me a look like he wasn't amused with my joking around. I told him I was asking out of all honesty because I had my own experience and believed them to be real, and it was a serious inquiry. I think he saw my sincerity and told me that when he was a young boy growing up in Port Renfrew, in the Port Renfrew area, that he saw families of them every morning come down from the mountain to the shoreline and grab fish from the river. He said it was a mutual agreement that his people had with them, that they stayed on their side of the river to fish, and the forest people stayed on their side of the river to fish. No one was to cross over. Sadly, he stated that once the white man came and started logging the area across the river, that he believes the forest people moved deeper into the mountains because he never saw them anymore. He had nothing to gain from sharing this with me, and did so hesitantly. This is my account to date, and did not seek any further ones, but it has not stopped me from going into the woods or enjoying my cabin. I have all I need to believe. Feels good to put this on paper and share my account. Thanks again for this opportunity. God bless you and yours. Name not to be shared. Gotcha, man. Appreciate you big time. Welcome to the club, right? Welcome to the club. There you go. Coincidentally, basically experienced what I was avoiding last night. Yeah, Port Renfrew. San Juan River dumps into Port Renfrew, so does the Gordon River. And the San Juan River, up near the head of that, is where my grandfather had his face-to-face broad daylight experience. Fishing guide. Friend of mine, another fishing guide who I know his name, I know who he is. I think it was him or a friend of his, seen one cross the road, not too far from where you got ferried across on the Gordon River, Maine. Right near there, not too far from the White Bridge over the San Juan River, right? The sightings are off the charts around Port Renfrew. Always have been, always will be. The West Coast Trail, ran into a native guy from Pechina on the Pechina Beach. And he told me that him and his 2 friends were breaking open the West Coast Trail, staying in a cabin, and something was beating on the cabin one night. He also told me of a huge branch came flying straight at him out of the timber on the Banfield Road as he was driving at nighttime, and he had to swerve to miss the branch. Kind of creepy. What else? I could go on and on of the Port Renfrew experiences that I know of, shared. China Beach, past Souk, between Souk and Port Renfrew. Somebody rode in. They seen 3 of them come down out of the timber and hit the beach, go walking down the beach in the middle of the night in the moonlight from their tent. Banff, Nothing but sightings of Banff. Here's a story of my experiences in Banff. When I was about 15 or 14 years old, we all played hockey. My best friend growing up, we joined speed skating to help our hockey. And he was a natural athlete, and he actually took to speed skating. And he ended up training with the gold medalist Gaetan Boucher. And he had records, provincial records, North American records, and sadly, he gave it up for alcohol and drugs, and we lost him too early, my best friend. Childhood best friend. But anyways, while we were there, we drove out to Banff to go to a speed skating training camp with 2 gold medalist speed skaters. I got to go. And we stayed at these cabins, hostel cabins, which would have been south of town, up a river or down river. It was a long time ago. And there was a guy with a beard and a ponytail that took care of all the cabins, and there's probably 15 or 20 of us kids. And I don't know why. How would I have asked him? But I remember asking him if there was Bigfoot around here. There's just 2 of us standing there, and I remember he said, well, I don't know about that. And then he said that one night, all the cabins were full, about 20 kids, teenagers, and something went through the camp that every single person woke up at the same time in the middle of the night. I'm like, no way. I'll never forget he shared that. And then we had to run up Mount Norquay. Yeah, that's the only time I spent in Banff. Other than that, I just drove through, road tripping. But anyway, you're probably familiar with that video clip. A native guy videotaped one of these beings in Manitoba along a river somewhere. That was quite a while ago, and that made all the headline news. Manitoba's got a lot of experiences there. Anyway, there you go. Another testimony. Another testimony from a man who's experienced a lot of crazy-ass shit that should be terrifying for most, and said flat out that the terror was way worse than any of that, right? So right alongside of their veterans. Yeah. All right. What else do we got here? Man, this one's real long. I'm gonna do a not too long one so I can get back and get everything I need to get done and try to get caught up in sleep. I'm so tired. What's this? Hopefully I didn't read this yet. It's titled Military Encounters. Hi Steve, hope all is well. Been following your show for some time now, and it's time I told my story. Bit of background, I served my country, England, for 12 years all over the globe. 5 tours from Ireland, Bosnia, and Afghanistan. So I've seen my fair share of shit. Face to face with some of the most evil bastards on this earth. Terrorists have personally threatened me and my family, and countless engagements. But nothing comes close to this. Here it goes. I was sent to Canada, Alberta, to do some training back in '93. First day, me and a friend decided to go for a walkabout, get to know the area. Bumped into a few Canadian soldiers. I've read this, but it was a long time ago. I'll guarantee you there's a lot of people here that haven't heard this. Bumped into a few Canadian soldiers, a few words exchanged, and one shouted back, "Don't let the monkeys keep you awake." They laughed. We just looked at each other and carried on. Now bear with me, because this is a bit of a puzzle to start with, as it's over a few years between incidents. While out on exercise, a few of the guys said they were waking up in their sleeping bags, being pulled along the ground. I heard this a few times over the weeks. Also, their kit rations and other bits going missing. Nothing came of it. Also an incident of one soldier missing, found the next day miles away from his platoon. And this is live firing, so it can get very dangerous at times. He said he couldn't remember why he got separated, but felt he was followed during the night by some animal. Nothing more was said. 1995, I returned to Canada to do another job. Spent around 19 months out there. Just as before, I was going out to check the lay of the land with a group of Canadian soldiers. were just coming in, looked like they had been out for a few days. Looking at the state of them. You going out? One asked. You staying out? Didn't know, I replied. Effing monkeys, watch your back, he said. I replied, okay, thinking I heard this before. I noticed the guys had their heads down. They looked pretty worn out. A few months on, one of the guys said, you seen Scott? No, why? I replied. He's crying. Going on about seeing 3 bears walking towards him on 2 feet on a trail while out walking. I immediately thought, walking 2 feet? I went to find him. This is just a few hours after his encounter. I couldn't find him anywhere. The following day, I asked around where he was. He's gone, the guy said. What do you mean gone? Gone back to his regiment. I knew straight away why. I found the guy who told me about this, and he just didn't want to talk about it. So I left it there. It was September now. I remember this, well, because I lost 2 of my best friends. And was feeling very down and lost. It was a bad time in my career for me. I decided to go for a drive, a weekend break, had an old pickup truck, and just drove, not really going anywhere in particular. I stopped for a break in a beautiful area, not far from Great Falls. Been on the road 2 days now, sleeping in the back of the pickup. I decided to go for a walk there. For a walk, there was a trail and a tree line about a mile away. So off I went, about 100 yards away from the tree line. I see a coyote just stop on the trail. Never seen one close up. Our eyes met, just staring at each other. I suddenly felt uncomfortable. The dog keeps glancing back and forth from the tree line, and now I'm really feeling anxious. Not because of the dog, but what's in that tree line. The dog moves backwards and forwards, and then just disappeared in the grass. I'm left staring at the tree center, and left and right in that tree line, something or things are telling me to come closer. I can't explain this, but my head's telling me no. I don't know how long I was there, but now I'm so scared. I've never felt so much fear to the point I felt sick. I slowly got my legs to walk backwards, keeping my eyes on the tree line, and then I turned and ran. Like a bad dream, I got in my pickup and never looked back. I must add, I wasn't drinking alcohol, never had a drop those few days. I still think about it to this day. What was in those trees? The months go by, then my battalion comes over for an exercise. One night, while out, I was with another mate. We were parked on a hill overlooking a large bowl. Down below where a platoon of men were all sleeping. It was around 2:30 in the morning, clear skies. You could see a good distance without using any aids. My friend was asleep. I noticed a group of coyotes down below. Looks like they were looking for a free meal. Now I was thinking, is this what happens when someone feels they're being dragged in their sleeping bags? Could a dog have that much strength? I watched them for a while, getting bolder by the minute. Then suddenly, their body language changed. 4 of them ran of one direction to the other, then one was just standing there looking up the hill. I looked through my night vision. Now this piece of kit I was using was incredibly powerful, top of the range. And then all of a sudden, 3 human type of figures just stood up. One after the other, all different sizes. That's the first thing that stood out to me on adjusting my sights. I could clearly see what the largest one was. A Bigfoot, no doubt about it, standing at 9 foot. The second around 7.5 and the other 6. I knew this by using the kit I had to measure how far away they were, plus the ground they were in. I'd been there the previous day. I looked at my mate, still snoring away, and just left him to it. The details on the tallest was easy to see. Now, sorry, there's a bunch of punctuation challenging, no big deal. Now, the shoulders, wow. So big, could see his eyes. No color, couldn't make that out. They were all looking in my direction, and then just turned and walked into another valley. Could see the hair swaying off its arms, even the calf muscles. I'm just smiling to myself. To me, this was the last piece of the puzzle. I recently told my daughter about this, and she believes me. You know, there's so many people that know about these creatures, especially where I was It's common knowledge if you're in the right crowd. Well, that's my story. Think about it. I think about them every day. I'm glad I saw them. I've always believed they existed. There was this spate of orbs and even a couple of visits from the FBI. We'll tell you about that next time around. P.S. Stop using your oxygen on those prophetic losers who ridicule others. Keep up the good work. It means a lot to me. Take care, Ian. There you go. Ian, I don't know if you're still with us. The FBI. Orbs. I don't think you've emailed us back, and if you have, I guess I've missed it because I've got a shit pile of emails. I'll try to remember to dig those out of the inbox. There you go. There you go. More eyewitnesses. All right? Nothing you can do to change it. Nothing you can do to change it. Unless you're good at digging holes in the sand and sticking your head down there. And if you do that all the time, I hope you don't ever bump into any cat turds while you're doing it. There we go. I'm gonna get on with my day. I got some sleep to catch up on. A lot of stuff I gotta do. And I don't take days off. I'm out for first light, last light, and a little in between, no matter what, so. I gotta get this done. The weather's been real warm. It's been real smoky, especially in the mornings before these thermals kick up and blow them around, but even my friends down south, they're not hearing any elk bugling, they're not making a sound, and it makes it quite difficult when they're stuck in that jungle and they're not making a sound. So it's very challenging. You got to use all your skills and look and find all the sign. I've narrowed it down to this patch over here. I found some pretty good mature looking rubs that look like they're made by a mature bull. And I know there's about 5 mediocre teenager bulls running around here. I caught on my cameras. So got to keep at it until I finally sucker one of these big old mature bulls in and harvest them. Get my ass home. So there you go. That's my report. And I'm not going to stop, and I'll be back again. So share my story at howtohunt.com. And Sarah, I think she's going to just do sweatshirts and t-shirts for now with those the club logos. They're pretty cool. I can't wait to get one. She's also going to make some distressed versions where the patch is distressed already. It's not brand new shiny sticking out like a sore thumb, I guess. So I don't know. What is she doing? She's already talked to the people who build the shit for her, and she's all excited. She got another shipment of all the How to Hunt stuff in to restock. She's excited about that. It's good to see her excited. She's been canning everything. Like, holy cow, it's like her new frickin' addicted hobby. She's canned plums, carrots, made 3 different types of jams, tomatoes, made her own salsa. She's not stopping. I'm like, hey, somebody's got to eat all this, right? Anyway, it's good though, but she does it to keep busy while I'm away. And our young lady, she texted me missing me yesterday and said that mom's hangry. When are you coming back? But Sarah's holding up her game face pretty good. She just said to me this morning, I said, you know, I gotta get her meat. We don't have any. She said, you damn right we are. Bring me back an elk. Stay there till you get one. Nothing better than having that kind of support, right? I'll get it done. It's never easy. I'll get it done. Hopefully I get a good night's sleep tonight. I'm gonna go get a couple hours in right now, and then I'll be back at it tomorrow. So there. The link to her stuff is in the description below. There you go, share it. Oh, she's making the stickers too, vinyl stickers, if you want the Club of No Return decals. And it's funny, I've had some people emailed her saying that, you know, it'd be good if you could put a little Sasquatch on there or something. But she's not going to, because the whole point of it is for everybody like-minded aware of what's going on here, which is in the hundreds of thousands. to see that subtle patch, the Club of No Return patch, and knowing what it represents, right? It's almost like a secret club in a way, the secret hand signal, but it's a patch. But it also will offer up a lot of people to speak openly about it. When people see that patch that aren't familiar, they're gonna go, what is that? What's that club about? There you go, boom, conversation starts, right? So that should kick open a whole pile of new people who know and have been a little hesitant to come forward with their truth. You never know. So there you go. I'm babbling, I'm really babbling now. I'm tired. I'm feeling really relaxed. This relaxes me pretty good. I'll be back shortly.